October 6, 2024. PlayStation has announced games for their online gaming service, PlayStation Plus. The first two IPs are already IPs PlayStation already owns, no big deal. But then you see someone familiar. A certain teenage girl with hypnotic green eyes and flowing pink hair. You read the title of the game as memories begin flowing through your mind. Doki Doki Literature Club. You then realize what's going on. Team Salvato was bought by PlayStation. Okay, that dramatic opening aside, yes. Team Salvato was bought by PlayStation, meaning DDLC is now a PlayStation IP. And Magic or Anomaly, but that game's not out yet, so that doesn't count. Now, I assume that since DDLC still has quite a strong fan base on the internet, and it's one of the highest selling visual novels ever, it can only mean one thing. We're getting a DDLC too. Now, if you watched my older videos, you would know I have very passionate feelings for this franchise. So I personally would love to see a sequel on this game. However, the more I thought about it, the more invested I became in this idea. So today, I want to share my thoughts on a DDLC 2, and potential ideas for one. Without further ado, let's go! First order of business is where this sucker is going to be. Obviously, it's going to be an exclusive to the PlayStation, but we don't know if it'll only be on PS5 or PS4 too. Heck, for all we know, it'll be on the PS6. Personally, I think they should make it a PS5 only game. Not only does the PS5 have like 2 games on it, but it would give people an actual reason to buy a PS5. Because, as I stated, DDLC still has a well fan base, and it would also give people a reason to play the original again. Unless it ends up like Concord and nobody cares. So, now that we've talked about which console this game would be on, it's time we talk about what this game would be about. Obviously, this game will not take place directly after the first game, because everyone died thanks to cringe over, which is why, for the sequel, we're going to pretend Acts 2 for 4 never happened, aka Monica isn't cringe in this sequel. With that said, I think we should refresh on our mind on Act 1, as it can be easy to forget with the craziness of the other acts. A man, who we'll be calling Joe for this video, joins his high school literature club. From there, he meets Sayori. I should just skip there. Sayori, aka Best Girl, an absolute bundle of joy. Natsuki, the jerk. Yuri, the nervous bookworm, and Monica, the elegant leader. For each day, you slowly befriend the girls while preparing for the festival, which the girls see as a chance to get new members. The day before the festival, you and Sayori start dating. Or you can friend zone her, but only Jacksepticeye would do that to Best Girl. And here we are. That was my brief recap of the first game. Without the sadness. With all that said, we can move on to the sequel! So, I think the game would take place after the festival, with Joe having a strong connection with all the girls. There would be a small group of people, around 3, who would get really interested in Monica and her poems. This would also make sense as the game describes Monica's popular. Can we go back to that, please? So it makes sense for a small group like this to have the hots for her. This group would then be so invested in her that they would form the Monica Club, a club dedicated to worshipping Monica. Monica would later figure out this club exists. But since she's such a narcissistic jerk who only cares about herself, she would bask in it. Now that we've talked about the premise of the setting, it's time we talked about the setting, and we'll just get back to Act 1, because nobody cares about Act 2. Now that we've talked about the premise of this game, it's time we talk about the setting. Also, I just want to say, I want this game to be named Doki Doki Literature Cult, because I think that would be funny, and it would fit quite well. Anyway, I like to imagine that the school council would realize that maybe worshipping a girl who isn't that cool to begin with is kind of cringe. So the modern cultists, you like my name, by the way? You like my cool name for this group? I took inspiration from what cringe fans call themselves. Would have to use one of those abandoned schoolrooms. After the monocultists renovated, it would basically look like chapters 1 and 2 of Bendy and the Ink Machine. A rundown, decrepit building with tons of writing on the walls. The monocultists would also stalk Monica outside of school, meaning we'll see her in that white dress everyone and their grandma draws her in. Speaking of which, that's a nice segue into our next topic, the returning characters. Obviously, since Joe is a sane dude who doesn't worship woman. He's not going to be the player character, but rather a side character. He would also be in a relationship with Sayori, although again, they wouldn't be the main focus. The ship name is Joe Yori, by the way. Natsuki would probably be the character who would show up the least. She would make fun of the monocletists and dip. Yuri is the one who would be the most prominent aside from Monica. See, in Act 2, Monica enhances Yuri's obsession to the point where she looks like... Who does girl think she is? Toy Bonnie? Then I think halfway through the game, Yuri will join the monocultists. Speaking of which, I think it's time we talk about the final topic of this video, that being the newbies. AKA, it's DeviantArt OC time! First off, I think it'd be cool if everyone's name began with M. You know, because they worship Monica. Do you get it? Do you get the analogy? She would be proud of me. In terms of personality, I think every character should have a new personality, unlike the original, with the common trait of obsessiveness, like Cringe herself. One character would pretty much be like Sammy Lawrence from Bendy. Another would be that of Nagito Kamida from Danganronpa. If you have no clue who those characters are, basically a guy who will take everything to the extreme, and a guy who's more calmer, less submissive, but still insane. These two would act like a duo, while still having an equal amount of love for Monica. Lastly, we'll have a lad who's more down-to-earth, but when you get to know him, have I specified these are boys yet? Whatever. He's a complete psychopath. I see him as the leader of the later four. With some Monocultist personality established, they're ready to worship Monica and Doki Literature Cult. Out 2027. But anyways, that's my pitch for a DDLC 2. I know the idea is kinda silly, but I think it would make for an interesting horror game. I know I don't talk about this game a lot, but maybe that'll change with my upcoming Monica character analysis. Thanks for watching, and please, Sony, do not make this another Concord. I am begging you, just please don't.